My own parents and sister laughed while I was in a coma. They weren't praying for my recovery. They were negotiating the price of my body parts with a corrupt broker. My sister was thrilled I was finally out of the picture, and my parents were calculating how many debts they could pay off by donating me to the highest bidder. But here is the thing they didn't account for. I wasn't brain dead. I was locked inside my own body, hearing every single evil word they said. And when I finally woke up, I destroyed them all. This is a story about betrayal, greed, and the most savage revenge you have ever seen. Hey friends, before we dive into this captivating story, please take a couple of seconds to like and subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. And don't forget to share your thoughts on this story. I'd really love to hear your opinion. Alright, grab a cup of coffee, and let's begin. My name is Vanessa, and I need to tell you about the day my family decided I was worth more in pieces than I was as a person. It started on a rainy Tuesday evening. We were driving back from my graduation ceremony. I had just finished my MBA, ready to start a high-paying job in the city. My parents and my younger sister, Sarah, were in the car. The tension was thick. Sarah had dropped out of college again, and my parents were drowning in gambling debts they thought I didn't know about. I remember looking out the window, feeling a strange sense of unease. My father was driving too fast, arguing with my mother about money. Suddenly, headlights flashed. A screech of tires. The world spun violently. The impact was deafening. When the car finally stopped rolling, I was trapped in the back seat, pinned by crushed metal. Pain radiated through my chest and head, so intense I couldn't breathe. I remember looking toward the front seats through my tears, desperate for help, for my father to turn around. But he wasn't looking at me. He was outside the car, checking the bumper. Actually, checking the paint on the car while I was gasping for air. My mother was standing beside him, checking her phone, probably calculating the insurance payout. Sarah was sitting on the guardrail, fixing her hair in the reflection of the side mirror. The paramedics arrived, and voices swirled around me. I felt it before anyone else did. This coldness spreading beneath me. The paramedic's face went white. He shouted something about internal bleeding and blown pupils. The last thing I heard clearly was the EMT yelling, "She's crashing. Get the defib." My vision started to blur, darkening at the edges. And in that moment, as everything faded to black, I heard my father's voice. Not crying, not panicking, just asking flatly to the police officer, "Is the other driver insured? We need the money." Not, "Is my daughter okay?" Just concern for the cash. That should have told me everything I needed to know. Then there was nothing. Complete darkness. Complete silence. I thought that was it. I thought I was dead. But then I started to hear things. Muffled voices. The sound of wheels on linoleum. Cold air on my skin. I tried to open my eyes, tried to scream, tried to move even a single finger. Nothing worked. My body was a prison, and I was trapped inside it. I heard a sheet being pulled up to my chin. I heard a doctor's tired voice explaining my condition. She is in a persistent vegetative state. Locked-in syndrome is possible but unlikely. To be honest, her brain activity is minimal. And I was screaming inside my head. "I'm here. I can hear you." But no sound came out. Nothing moved. I was wheeled into a private room. The bed was so cold beneath my back. I could feel every degree of that cold, but I couldn't shiver, couldn't react. I heard a nurse adjusting the blinds, humming softly. My mind was racing with terror. This is how it ends, I thought. Conscious but paralyzed while they wait. The nurse left and my family came in. The next few hours were a nightmare. I heard my father's voice asking about the prognosis. And then a doctor, a specialist, explaining something to my parents in a calm, professional tone that made my blood run cold. "Your daughter is on life support. If there is no improvement in 30 days, you will have to make some difficult decisions." There was a long pause. And then my father asked, and I'll never forget the tone of his voice, "What about donation? Is she a candidate?" "She is young and healthy," the doctor said. "Her organs are pristine. But donation is a gift, a voluntary act." "We understand," my mother said quickly. "We just want some good to come out of this." They waited for the doctor to leave. As soon as the door clicked shut, the tone changed instantly. That's when I heard her voice for the first time since the crash. Sarah. My sister. So she's basically a vegetable now? Sarah said it with a laugh. A genuine, happy laugh. Finally. I thought she'd never shut up about her perfect degree and her perfect life. Sarah, keep your voice down. My mother hissed, but she wasn't angry. She sounded excited. The doctor said her parts are pristine. Do you know what that means? It means we hit the jackpot, my father said. I spoke to that consultant your uncle knows. The one who arranges private medical transfers for wealthy clients abroad. Private transfers? Sarah asked. You mean selling her? We don't use that term, my father replied coldly. It's a compensated donation. There is a buyer in the city who needs a heart and a liver immediately. They don't want to wait on the official list. They are willing to pay a facilitation fee of $200,000 to the family who consents to a direct donation. $200,000? Sarah squealed. That pays off the gambling debt and leaves enough for my new car. Exactly, my mother said. We just have to wait. The hospital protocol is 30 days before we can withdraw support and authorize the procedure. 30 days. That's manageable. I lay there alone with the beeping machines and my screaming thoughts. My family was planning to carve me up for cash. Sarah wasn't just complicit, she was delighted. Through the baby monitor left by a nurse. Or maybe just through the thin curtain of the VIP room. I heard them again the next day. This is actually perfect, Sarah was saying, eating chips by my bedside. With Vanessa gone, I get the big bedroom at home, right? Of course, sweetie, my mother said. And her clothes. She has those designer bags she bought with her scholarship money. You can take them. Yes, Sarah cheered. She always thought she was better than me. Look at her now. Just a shell. She's worth more in pieces than she ever was whole, my father muttered, looking at some papers. I need to sign these consent forms. We tell the hospital we found a specific recipient, a distant cousin, who needs a transplant. The broker handles the paperwork to make it look legal. But she's still technically alive, my mother said. Is it safe? The broker said as long as we have power of attorney we decide, my father assured her. Once they wheel her into that operating room for the donation, it's over. She passes away on the table. Clean. Heroic. And we get the wire transfer the same day. I was screaming inside my head. I was screaming so loud. I thought surely someone would hear. But my body lay still as death. 3 days later, a nurse came in, talking to another nurse while checking my IV. Can you believe the family? She whispered. They aren't even visiting. They just come in to meet with lawyers and that shady medical consultant. They are rushing the process. It's tragic, the other nurse replied. And the sister? She came in yesterday wearing the patient's favorite necklace. I recognized it from the photo on the nightstand. She took it right off the patient's neck. The poor woman's not even dead yet, and they've already stripped her clean, the first nurse said. Not even dead yet. Those words echoed in my mind. I was a ghost haunting my own life, watching it be stolen to the highest bidder. My best friend, Julie, tried to visit on day 10. I heard her arguing in the hallway. I need to see her. I'm her emergency contact. I'm sorry, ma'am, the security guard said. The parents have removed you from the list. They said you are causing distress. Strict family only. They are lying. Julie screamed. They hated her. Let me in. Hearing her voice broke me. My parents had isolated me completely so no one would ask questions about the rushed donation. Tears rolled down my face, the only thing my body would do, and a kind nurse wiped them away, thinking it was just a reflex. By day 20, Sarah was talking about her vacation plans. She sat in the chair next to me, scrolling on her phone. Mom, can we go to Bali after the money comes in? She asked. I want to celebrate. Celebrate what? My mother asked. Being an only child, Sarah laughed. It's going to be so quiet without little Miss Perfect judging us. Honestly, this crash was the best thing that ever happened to us. Hush, my mother said, but she laughed too. Focus. The broker is coming today to finalize the transfer. We need to make sure Vanessa's vitals are stable enough for the procedure. Transfer, Sarah repeated. Sounds like moving luggage. It is, my father said, walking into the room. She's the golden goose. And she's finally laying the egg. They were counting down the days. But then on day 28, everything escalated. The broker, a man with a smooth, oily voice, came into the room with my father. I heard the door click lock. There is a change in plans, the broker said. My client is deteriorating. He needs the heart within 48 hours. We can't wait for the 30-day protocol. But the hospital won't let us pull the plug yet, my father said, panic in his voice. We risk losing the deal. Not if there is a medical decline, the broker suggested darkly. If her heart rate drops, if she goes into distress, you can authorize emergency surgery to save the organs before she fully expires. How do we make her decline? My mother asked. A slight adjustment to the medication, the broker whispered. Or a pinch tube, just for a few minutes. Enough to trigger the alarms and justify the rush to the OR. Once she is in my team's hands, we handle the rest. And the money? My father asked. I'll add 50,000 for the rush, the broker said. 250,000. Cash. There was a silence. A long, heavy silence. Do it, Sarah said from the corner. Just do it. I want my money. Okay, my father said. Tonight. During the shift change. We pinched the oxygen tube. I was screaming inside my head. My own father. My own mother. My sister. They weren't just waiting for me to die anymore. They were going to finish me off. The alarms in my head were ringing, but my body was silent. Then, the nurse, the kind one who had wiped my tears, came in to check my chart. She paused. She looked at the monitor. My heart rate had spiked when they said 250,000. She looked at my face. Vanessa, she whispered. Can you hear me? I concentrated everything I had on my eyes. I couldn't open them, but I could try to focus. I saw your heart rate jump, she whispered. I don't trust them. That man, he's not a doctor. I'm going to call security. She left the room, but I knew she wouldn't be fast enough. The shift change was in an hour. That night, day 28, was the terrifying climax. I lay there, waiting for my father's hand to reach for my breathing tube. The rage was building inside me, hot and volcanic. They wanted to sell me. They wanted to erase me for a vacation and a new car. I focused every ounce of energy on my hand. Move, I commanded. Move. At 11:45 p.m. the door opened. My father and Sarah walked in. Is the nurse gone? Sarah whispered. Yes. Do it now, my father said. He reached for the tube at my throat. Sorry, Vanessa, he muttered. But you're worth more this way. At that exact second, my right hand shot up and grabbed his wrist. My father screamed. It was a high-pitched, terrified sound. Sarah jumped back, knocking over a tray of instruments. My eyes flew open. The lights were blinding, but I saw them. I saw the terror on their faces. I squeezed his wrist with all the strength I had left, digging my nails into his skin. No, I rasped. My voice was like broken glass, but it filled the room. I am not for sale. My father tried to pull away, but he was paralyzed by shock. Vanessa, he stammered. You're awake. I heard. I whispered, staring directly into his soul. The broker. The money. The tube. I looked at Sarah. She was backed against the wall, shaking. I heard you laughing, Sarah. I heard you stealing my life. At that moment, the door burst open. The kind nurse had returned, and she brought the police. Step away from the patient, the officer yelled. They saw my hand gripping my father's wrist. They saw the guilt written all over their faces. He was trying to touch the tube, the nurse shouted. I saw it from the hallway. Get them out. I managed to say, my voice gaining strength. Get them away from me. My father was stammering, trying to explain. We were just adjusting her pillow. She's confused. Save it for the judge, the officer said, cuffing him. Another officer grabbed Sarah, who was screaming. It wasn't my idea. They made me do it. My mother, who had been waiting in the hall with the paperwork, was arrested right there. The police investigation revealed everything. They found the broker's texts on my father's phone. They found the draft contracts for the compensated donation. They found the search history on Sarah's phone for luxury vacations Bali. It was a slam dunk case of medical homicide conspiracy and human trafficking. 3 months later, I sat in the courtroom in my wheelchair. I wasn't fully recovered yet, but I was strong enough to watch. My father got 20 years. The judge called him a monster who tried to monetize his own child. My mother got 18 years. Sarah, my little sister, got 8 years for conspiracy. She cried and looked at me, mouthing I'm sorry. I looked her dead in the eye and turned my wheelchair around. I didn't say a word. Her tears were only because she got caught. I kept the house. I kept my savings. I sued the broker and his shady network, exposing a massive illegal organ trade ring. The settlement was in the millions, far more than the paltry sum my parents tried to sell me for. I used the money to pay off my student loans and start a new life in a different city, far away from the memories. I'm doing physical therapy every day. I'm learning to walk again. It's hard, but every step is a victory. My favorite moment happened yesterday. I received a letter from prison. It was from my father, asking for money for the commissary. I tore it up and threw it in the trash. They tried to sell my heart, but they forgot one thing. My heart is strong. And it belongs to me. If this story made your blood boil, hit that like button and share it with everyone you know. Comment below. Can you believe a sister would be that jealous? And don't forget to subscribe. Karma is real, and sometimes, the victim wakes up just in time to serve it. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Alive, wealthy, and free. They wanted me dead, but it's not that easy to send me to the other side. I'll see you in the next video.